Alright, what is there to say about Crash? This map is probably my favorite, if not one of my favorite maps in Call of Duty 4. And let's just get right into it, you know. So first of all, if you spawn in on this side, I believe this is we're on the Op 4. Like, once again, you're not going to be dying back here, because Call of Duty 4 does a great job with how it designs its maps and how it designs its spawns. So traditionally what would happen in this map, right, let's assume it's like TDM or Domination or something, is you would spawn back here. If you were a player that you're not really confident, you could always go into this building up here. And this is a great spot to put claymores down. Yeah, right, you put your claymores down, and you could just camp up here. And what you would most likely be doing is you'd be sitting up here with an assault rifle, probably like the M16, like we have now, most broken gun in the game, or a sniper rifle, or a machine gun. And what you can do from here is it allows you to play safe. You're not going to be, super impactful on the map, but you're going to be able to hold down B, because B site is there for domination, or TDM. You're going to be able to hold down this area. You're also going to be able to hold down this area over here. And as you can see, there's a ladder right there that leads up onto the roof. So Call of Duty 4 is just filled with these kind of spots in the game, to where you're in a power position here, to where you can at least cover your spawn. And you can also engage a little bit in the middle of the map and on the flanks, but you're not in such an overpowered spot to where it's just like unmanageable. And if you can see here, once again, so there's a counter spot over there where you can contest somebody. So if somebody is on their spawn, they're also very protected over there. There's a little situation where you guys can have a little peek battle, and you could be 1v1ing a guy over there. You can also cover this spawn if someone's running up this side lane, and they'll have to get you off of this hill. So it is a strong position, but it's not broken. Also, if you come back here, we see that there is the ability to contest that building, which I'll go over there very, very soon. But that building is basically a 3-story building, and it's a very, very strong position in the game. But you can at least contest from back here in the spawn while playing safe. And then finally, of course, you can watch your left flank as well. So let's just go ahead and jump down here. And traditionally what would happen is, if you were getting spawn trapped, because Call of Duty you can get spawn trapped in COD4, is that you'd be hanging out around here, and as soon as you round this corner, you know that there is going to be somebody in this building here, and it's a matter of checking your angles, right? So if you're coming around this corner, you would try to, either pre-fire, or you'd be coming strafing and checking. If there's nobody here, you're probably not going to die here, because most likely no one's here. Every once in a while there would be somebody that sneaks their way in, but no one's there. Okay, you run up, check this side as well, because somebody could be running in here. If no one's here, you walk up, check this angle, nobody's here. So without a shadow of a doubt that you are safe in this little spot, minus like grenades and stuff like that, noob tubes, because you're spawning over here, your team is spawning over here, let's pretend. So now all you have to do is breach this building. But once again, there is a very high potential people will be in here camping. But that's what makes it fun, is like that there is a strong point right here. Like, how many times have we played Call of Duty 4? If you're like an old head, you jump around this corner, boom, boom, free fire, and it's just like an instantaneous like gunfight here. But it doesn't feel unfair. It's because these quarters are very close, the angles are good, everything's protected. So anyway, you'd like run in here, and then, yeah, you got to check from here. Somebody could be running in the front here. Someone could be chilling over here and up top as well. So there's just a lot of different positions in here. Now, if we were to look at this position, this spot here is a pretty strong spot for covering B. But the beautiful thing about it, dude, look at this. Look where we're standing, right? We have the ability to cover B if we're sitting back here. But as soon as we show ourselves, we're exposed now to this building over here, which is the enemy's power position. So it's very, very, like, rock, paper, scissors sort of gameplay. Like, if I want to go out and cover this, I have to expose myself to these guys over here if I want to get the full angle. Now, I can cover this a little bit, but even then, look over here. This building over here also can see me from here, and if I push up a little bit, even the top level can see me. So it's not like I'm in such a broken position to where, like, it's just totally overpowered. It is a strong position being here, but there's a lot of counters to it. So let's just keep, running around here. So, of course, you got over here, and then search and destroy on this map was also really, really fun. I'm talking in the context of, like team deathmatch, domination, and search and destroy whenever I'm speaking about these things. This is like the middle of the map anyways. This is normally where the B objective is. You have potential to hide in here if you want. There's some cover, but you're still exposed, right? Like if you're on this is like the main objective, so of course it's going to be a hot zone. Let's go ahead and check this building out a little bit. Now, even there's a head glitch here where somebody could be there and covering that. You got this nice little building, so you always have to clear your corners, you know, coming in. So one of the good things about this too is as you're rounding here, so let's pretend you make it into this building, right? You most likely know that you've just cleared out this entire section. So it's like a 90% chance you're not going to get shot in the back once you're here, because your back's not going to be too exposed. There is a chance that people could be running over there and checking this way, but for the most part, you'd be kind of safe because you'd be moving pretty quickly. So, if you clear out this building, you're checking around. Now you have an instant spot, like another power position here, where you're able to check into their spawn and also contest and win gunfights here, because they're going to be spawning back there in that back left corner and like around that back area. Now, somebody could also, so they're either going to be running at you, or they could be up here on this level 2 spot. That's kind of like their little, that's one of the spots in their spawn that they're able to camp on. Kind of like how I showed over there, how we have that spot over there. So, but you're able to contest it, right? You're in the middle of the map, right? I'm basically in the middle of the map, right? But you're not feeling like you're going to get shot in the back in an unfair manner, for the most part. So let's pretend you were to push up here. Let's say you win a gunfight here or nobody's here. Okay, then you can go up here. Then you know that there's a potential there's going to be people in here. So you would just, once again, be clearing out the rooms, trying to catch anybody out, watching for claymores. And if you make it to here, now you have another power spot here in the middle of the map. But you have to watch out because, you know, enemies could be coming around the corner, etc., etc. And then let's go show off the third floor here. Now, this spot was always really, really good because it can cover so much. And if you have claymores here, there's only 2 spots that you can get up here with. It's the ladder, and it's this spot right here. So you could have people that are camping up here with a claymore over there, or they'll have like a claymore over here, and they're camping this spot. But the reason this spot's so good is because it covers like the enemy spawn, the enemy like second, like their little spawn base that they have over there, where they have a second level that they can sit on, and it covers middle of the map. And if the enemy's spawning over in that direction, you also have a line of sight. So this is a very, very strong position in Crash, just because you have a like stronghold on both spawns, which usually are in that back corner over there, and then in this back corner, and a little bit over there in that back corner. It's very hard to counter people up here because of the limited options to get up here, right? Because when you're on the ladder, like there's a little bit of like lag animation and stuff. But anyways. So this, I would argue, is a very, very strong position to be in, but it's like kind of like a king of the hill spot, and it's like only one spot in the game. That's what kind of makes it fun too, is that there's one spot in the game that's like this, so it like encourages a lot of like king of the hill play style without being too ridiculous. So let's see what else we got over here. So this is the enemy spawn. So normally the enemy would be spawning in here, around either here or over in that corner, kind of in this area. So like as you can see, right, you're not going to die here if you're spawning back here. Like even if the enemy's trying to push up into your spawn, like you know where they're going to come from, right? It's like you're right here, you know that they can pop up right here, you can check this corner. Most likely nobody's over there because your team is probably spawning over there. You know that there's a potential, okay, somebody might be in that corner over there, as we just showed on the on the inverse perspective. So I might have to win a gunfight here. But if I like, you know, push up here, if I don't see anybody here, okay, I can move up here. And it's just like this constant cycle of you have to like check your corners. There could be a potential engagement. If there's not an engagement, you're pretty much good to go and move up and you're safe. Like I'm never gonna get shot in the back by somebody here or coming around the corner in like a weird spot. Anyways, so we got this. What is this? This tier 2? Not tier. I keep saying tier 2, but this is like 2-story. This one was a pretty good spot as well. Not the best. It was more so for covering B, like kind of hidden. You could always kind of post up over here. You have a very limited view, but you could technically snipe people out of their little power spot over there. And you could cover this building, all 3 levels. Like you could have like a counter spot here and, you know, chill back here. This building was mostly used for just like camping, right? Honestly, let's be real. Like if there was like a search and destroy or something, or if the like enemy was hard pushing your spawn, you could just camp back there. Let's check out this building. Yeah, once again in here, so this is an interesting spot because, so this is like the danger zone. I would say if you're running around in this area, you are in a very, very bad spot because look where everybody can see you from. You have people that can see you from over there, that 2-story, this 2-story, front level, they could be coming over here. Like all of these areas have the line of sight on you, so you would never want to be pushing up in this area without like checking your corners and stuff. There's a little bit of a like salvation here. That's another thing COD4 is, a lot of these sort of spots. So it's like, yeah, even though I'm in like the worst possible spot in the game, which is in the middle of the map, I can duck into this cubby and I'll have some cover to try to make a play or something. Let's also check up here in this tier 2. Yeah, so up here, as we said before, right, you could always go like on this spot right here and try to snipe the dude that's camping in that building over there. And you also could contest these spots over here. So just such a good map. Like the size is like, I would say small to medium, right? It's like a medium-sized map, but there's just like, once again, 3 lanes for the most part. We have that lane over here that's running all the way up there to the right. You know, all the way up there. So if you take that route, you're pretty much safe from everything here because there's these big buildings covering you. You have this left route over here too, which is all the way that can lead into the enemy spawn. So if you wanted to try to flank, you could flank, right? There is a flanking route to do so, but there's a counter to it because somebody could be sitting up there and covering the flank. And then most of the action, yeah, would happen around here. So that's pretty much it for this map. I mean, as you can see, it's just it's such a good map in my opinion for all game modes: search and destroy, team deathmatch, domination, and I would say I think it takes its spot as number 1 for me. I would say, with only one more map actually that would potentially be higher this one, which I'll get into later as a bonus map. But that's it for this one. So what map could be better than Crash? The only one I could think of is Winter Crash, Christmas Crash, right? I mean, look at this. We're just gonna do a nice walkthrough of this just to show the aesthetics. So, I mean, just so peaceful, right? Like, look at all the snow. You can hear the wind in the background. Such attention to detail with all the lights and everything. It's just such a beautiful map. And I think if I remember correctly, if you called it an airstrike, it would be like Santa Claus coming in with his reindeer. But I just love this map. Sometimes I'll come here and just walk around silently and just kind of enjoy the vibe. But I mean, so some people might actually not know about this map if they played only on console. Like, I know at the time I did not know about this map because I was on console. But this was a PC exclusive map back in the day, and then they brought it to PlayStation 4, or I think it was what, PlayStation 4, or whenever the remaster happened to this game, they also brought it there. I mean, just look at this, guys. Candy canes, beautiful lights, just the beautiful looking snow effects. I'm actually going to use this as inspiration for my map that I'm creating. I'm going to have like a Christmas theme or like a Halloween theme. I mean, wow, let's just keep walking around. Let's go through the middle here. I think there's some presents and stuff in the middle. Yeah, you got the big Christmas tree here. Got the presents, Christmas tree, colorful lights. There's just something about coming to this map and just walking around, being a little quiet, just taking it all in. Kind of reminds me of just like the American suburbs when everyone would decorate their houses. Let's go up to the top here. Oh, what's up, buddy? My dog jumped in here. Oh, there's a snowman over here. I forgot about this. Like, it's so interesting to think about how somebody coded this and put it in the game, or I guess 3D modeled it and put it in the game. It's still here all these years later. A slave to time, so to speak. It's stuck here until I boot it up. Such a weird concept. There's something about walking through old maps that makes me feel like eerie, because these maps used to be so populated. So many people playing this game. It was just a different time, right? How beautiful. But then when you come back and play, like when you're walking through it alone, it just feels like so, it's almost like a liminal space. Like a purgatory of it's always existing, whether I spawn it up or not. Wow. Gotta get us in the Christmas mood here, I guess, right? So yeah, I would say that this is the map that I would have said is the only one that beats out Crash, like the regular version of Crash is Winter Crash, or some people call it Christmas Crash. Like, it's officially called Winter Crash, but let's be real, Christmas Crash also sounds pretty good because of the sound, the double C. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this one, guys. I just wanted to showcase this one as well. Alright, so now we are playing on some Backlot here. Another one of my all-time favorite maps. I think this would be like in the A-S tier for me, like the top tier. Maybe like right behind Crash or something like that. But let's go ahead and look through it. I also remember playing a lot of game battles on this map, and then camping in the basement over there with one of my friends. But anyways, so we have the traditional, back spawn here. Very, very safe zone in terms of, like, if you're back here, you're not going to be dying, because where are you going to die from? You can push up. I mean, this has so many spots for, like, search and destroy as well. Like, there's so many grenade spots I can remember. But, so right off the bat, like, you have the choice of basically 2 lanes, almost 3 lanes. Even from here, you can go hard right, you can go hard left, or you can kind of go to the middle of the map here. And that's just from this perspective, right? So Call of Duty 4, once again, is littered with like all of these 3-lane opportunities. So if you were to go far right, you know, once again, you are in here, you are not dying to anything, except for when you walk around this corner, there could be somebody, right? So you'd have to win the gunfight. You could always push up, flank into here, and it's like, okay, there might be people out here, always a possibility, because the enemy spawns over that way. So you'd be holding this down. If nobody's here, you can make your way up here. There's a big mounted machine gun here that, yeah, everybody used to sit on. This was such an annoying spot for people to sit on because they would come and post up here and they have line of sight on like everything, at least on this side of the map. But it's just such a good map. Like, I mean, like, so to get here, even to get into this spot, it's like you have a secret, you know, route that you could, not even secret, just a back route that you could come to get into this map. Like, or to get into this building, right? You come all the way through here, fairly safe. Yes, you might have to win, like, you know, contest people and win gunfights, but it's like an easy position to get into, to get up here and to hold this. But then even though if you're in this position, right, it's a strong position, yes, but you have so many people that can see you from over there, from the middle building, from the right side. It's just constant. Oh yeah, over here as well. There's just so many spots that are like spots and counter spots in Call of Duty. So that's the far right side. Let's pretend as if we were going far left now. So if I was to go back into the spawn. I think Backlot also has a lot of secret spots that you can get into if I remember correctly. So one of the fun things also I remember is if you're playing Search and Destroy, you would run up here and you would throw your grenade right in that little crack. So COD4 is really, really good for grenade spots because once again the maps are not very, very wide. So there's a lot of like choke points. So if you time stuff correctly on spawn, you can throw your grenade there and it's a high probability of getting a kill. So yeah, if you were to go far left here, you'd be presented with this building, right? So it's like new opportunities everywhere you go. So you're presented with 3 lanes, and then you'd commit to a lane, and then you're pretty much safe from everything to the right, at least initially, if it was like off the rip, like if it was right off the rip of the game. But obviously, if the game was progressed, you could have somebody that's posting up there, and you have to watch your back. But yeah, so you get over here, Normally, for the most part, if you made it here, you're pretty safe, but you do have to check that building because there's a power position there in the middle where people could hold. And then you have 2 options here, right? It's like, once again, it's like fair because you could go up top, you could go down bottom, and because there's usually going to be a guy in this building that's camping somewhere. So it's like, yes, he's in a strong position, but you have an option to like outplay him. So you could come up here. You could peep this little angle here. You could see he's up there, and then maybe he spots you, and you jump down. You could hover around a little bit, fake out like you're going in here, and then come back up again. And you could try to wipe the dude if he was sitting up here. Get this machine gun as well. Covers the entire middle map. So just like you would get here, and then it's just the thing about COD. I'm telling you, no matter what happens, like whatever position you're in, it always feels like you're moderately safe. Like you're not dying to people all over the place because of how the spawns work and because there's so many buildings blocking you from like random damage. So like the time that you would be in this building most likely would be, let's pretend like your team spawning over here. So you don't have to generally worry about that spot. You just have to worry about here. So it's a very strong position for holding this angle because you know you have the high ground. And you'd have to check people across the map and then coming through here. But it's just like this whole circle is where you have to worry about, right? You're not going to be randomly dying. And if you're watching here, you don't really have to worry, at least initially, about here. People could throw grenades up here, but you're pretty safe because you're not exposed. So it's this constant balance of like, all right, checking mid. If there's nobody coming mid, come over here, check this. You know, maybe kill a guy or 2. And it's like this constant rotation that you're able to do with like, so it just just rewards players who are like skilled, in my opinion. Just due to how, once again, the spawns work and the rotations and everything. Now we hit the basement. This place was the most overpowered spot in this level for game battles. Like if you're playing 2v2 game battles, you can come down here and camp. It was very difficult for people because there's only 2 entrances here, I remember. Yeah, the ladder. You have to like jump down basically and take fall damage. Or you could come down from here, but you're basically, like your legs will be exposed before you come down. So you could just camp down here. It was very, very cheesy. So you got this spot. So if you were to spawn, like, I mean, the spawn was usually actually over here. And once again, the reason Call of Duty 4, in my opinion, was also really fun is because you did have spawn locking and spawn trapping, right? So if you were spawning here and you were getting spawn trapped, Like, it was just fun. It was actually fun for me. Some people don't like that, but I like it because it feels like you get to push out and win gunfights and break through the spawn lock. So same kind of thing here, right? If you're starting on this side, you have 3 choices. You go left, you go right, or you go mid and through here. And sometimes mid, they would have 2 variations. Like, you could go this way, or you could kind of go this way, if that makes sense. But it wasn't too overbearing. So if you're in here, it's just, hey, I've got decent cover. You know, I can angle and check my angles. I'm not gonna get shot in the back. So many good spots in this map. You can crawl under here, get up here, nice little. Yeah, you can try to counter the guy on the machine gun. Although if that guy was on the machine gun and he was watching this angle, you'd get like lit up immediately. Man, I wish I could remember all the like OG spot. I think one of the spots you can get into is actually over here. So even here, like in the spawn, right? Like even if you were pushing up into the enemy spawn, you could like hold down the spawn lock people. It just feels like fun. Like it's almost like there's multiple mini maps within the map. I don't know how to explain that, but it's like wherever you go in Call of Duty 4, it's like there's just multiple mini maps where you can kind of like this whole quadrant is like its own little mini map, and you can kind of play around this area. But I think you could get in here if you jump. Yeah. So another thing people would do is they would just camp here and then lay down and hide, kind of thing. I remember many gunfights here too, so it's like if you're spawning back here, somebody could be camping in this building. You know, throw a grenade in there. So that's the thing, man. Call of Duty, it's like you get a grenade, throw it in there. That covers your spot there, so it gives you a second to run up here. Maybe win a gunfight there if someone's coming. If not, get into this corner. And then you know somebody might be sniping up there. Hold off that angle, etc., etc. So it's all about just like, pushing, clearing out corners, and then just taking like spatial advantage and getting behind the next cover that you see available to you. Yeah, it just always feels like you got something to do, right? There's always a place that you can cover, and you always have cover from the enemy, but it's always like you're always exposed, at least in a few spots, to where it feels fair. Like if I'm sniping here, yes, I have to watch out for all these dudes. I can hold down this spot, but somebody could come up and flank me if I'm not paying attention on both sides. But it's not like so ridiculous. It's not like I have to, manage multiple things. It's usually like 2 to 4 things that you'd have to like consider in COD4, like wherever you are. Of like, okay, I'm here. Somebody could come from here. I can hold that down. Then there's a chance here if you run out. It's just like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just no matter where you are in the map, it's constant like 2v4s. And you got this middle building here. This is probably the most iconic spot in this map. If I can get in there. Actually, I shouldn't have done that. There's like this little crawl space here you can go through. So this map, always somebody would be camping in here. So if you had a grenade, you could just throw it up in here, and most likely you'd be getting a kill. Or some people would be sitting back here, right, calling in their airstrikes. So this spot was, it has a lot of access to everything in the map, but it's actually not that strong of a spot in my opinion, because people are constantly throwing grenades in here. You're constantly exposed. And then of course you can get onto the roof. This is always fun. Very, very dangerous. So it's like a good, strong spot to be up here. But it's very dangerous because you have to climb out the window and you're in a lag animation. And then you have to get in here, and then you're still in a lag animation while you get up on the ladder. So it's a high risk, high reward kind of spot. And then when you're up here, you're just extremely exposed. So normally what you'd want to do is like prone. And then try to like hold an angle. And then you could also, you could jump on this. I think you could get onto like the tree or something. It's been a while, but I'm pretty sure you could do stuff like that just for fun. So I can make it. Oh, nice, I made it. I think you could get into this tree and you could hide too. So that was always kind of fun. And then if you wanted to, you could come up here and like prone. This is a pretty good spot to be in on search and destroy if there was like 2 people left. So people wouldn't always expect you to be up here. But anyways, I think that's all I got for Backlot. One of my favorites, I would say. Alright, so we have Crossfire. This map is actually one of my favorites, I think. I think it just has a good mix of everything. It's good on all game modes, like search and destroy, domination, team deathmatch. It's got very 3-lane predictable, flows and spawns. It's got stuff for snipers, submachine gun guys, assault rifle guys, etc., etc. I feel like no space is really wasted in this map. So like right off the rip, right, you have a very like, if we look at the map on the screen here, it's kind of got this like very I don't know. It's like it's just very three laney, right? You could hard push up this right side. You could get into these buildings on the left and push up this, or you could choose to go up the middle. But if we look back here, right, you have this back spawn. Most likely nobody would be back here, because once again, the way Call of Duty spawns work, it's if you're sitting here and camping here, it's very unlikely that the enemy is going to be around here because this is your spawn. So the only time it would be good to be back here is if you're getting spawn camped and then the enemy is like shoving you in and you just cannot escape your spawn. It could be good to be back here, but other than that, it's not really a good spot to be in. And then these are kind of like all, you know, once again, not many people would be in these buildings usually, but every once in a while, just to maybe, you know, peep that little building over there. But yeah, if we were to go hard left, one of the cool things about this map is just the sniper like play and counterplay. Like you have like, there's two main spots on this side, which is like up here, and then over there on that building. And you're constantly, as soon as you round this like big corner here, you're exposed to the entire middle of the map. And it's like a sniper's paradise because there's a building over there where people are going to be sniping, and then there's a little balcony over there where people might be sniping, and there's also like this midpoint, kind of like this mid-power position. So I just love this kind of flow of the maps because if you're a sniper, you can sit back here and try to pick off people running in the middle of the map. You could also contest other snipers over there, and you can kind of have a little bit of a peek on guys that are, you know, rushing that middle building over there. You also have like a spot down here. I think there was a place where you could stand on or something. Yeah, there's something. Yeah, you could stand back here and you could actually like slowly expose yourself here and then get a view on those guys that might be sniping back there. And it was a little bit harder to see you in here. And you also have this building as well. And then this map was just so good also for search and destroy, just because of the very like three-lane nature. So same kind of thing. You'd have this spot back here people would be sitting in. You know, you can just chill, snipe, have a good time, hold down the middle of the map. You could have an M16 here, cover the middle of the map, etc., etc. And then you got this power spot here. So this is an interesting spot because on search and destroy or domination, this is where all the action happens. Usually is on this side of the map. You'd be pushing up, and as soon as you round this corner, there are dudes also rounding this corner, and they're going to be defending. There's going to be grenades always flying here. But if you do get this spot, you claim this spot, you can kind of hold it down because it's once again, you're at a strong position where the only places people are going to come and get you are from literally around this corner and maybe across the map over there. So it's like two spots that you have to be conscious of. So it's all about in Call of Duty just getting to these power spots and then holding them down. Similar thing if you're coming in this way, like you have to win your gunfight, but if you do, you're rewarded so much because now you're able to hold down this area because you can hold this corner and you basically control this entire side of the map because they have to come this way as a choke point. It's like a choke point. So, you know, whoever holds this spot is very, very powerful. And then also it gives you control of this building for the most part, to where you can kind of come in here and you can basically see everything, right? You can hold down the, you know, that lane over there. They're going to be rushing and coming out this way, so you can hold this down. You know, if you were looking this way and that was the enemy spawn, you can hold down the corner here. You can stop people from getting out of their spawn, which would be coming over there. Every once in a while, people might spawn over there, though. So just this building is just such a good building to control. But still, there's counterplay, right? Like if you're holding it down up there, people can run in, you know, from here. And then same thing on this side, they can jump up through these windows depending on what spawn you're in. And then there's always the back. It's like, yes, it is a powerful spot, but there is counterplay always. Let's just keep pushing up here. And same thing here, right? If you push up here, it's like very linear of like, as soon as you round this corner, there's going to be dudes like filing in here because it's a choke point. So it's a very strong position to be here and just let them come to you. And then same thing here. I would never push out this way because they're going to be spawning back here and they'll just light you up. You just want to let them come to you kind of thing. Got the enemy spawn here too. Even back here, if you got stuck in this spawn, like, you know, the dudes would be right here. So it's like you don't really have to worry too much if you spawn here. Like you wouldn't really have to worry too much because the only places people are going to get you from are like right around here, which is very dangerous for them to push up. So you're pretty safe running here, even though it's very wide open. Just because once again how the spawns work. You also got this building up here. This is always a decent spot to be in because you can cover that left side. So like if the enemy was spawning in, right, they would be spawning in from over there and over here. So you could sit here and then cover this left like lane or flank or whatever you want to call it. But let's just keep on going. And then you could also, like snipe people back here, but you'd be exposed, so you probably wouldn't want to do that, or you would want to be very careful about doing that. Then you got this building up here, so this is on the high ground because this map is like a hill. It's like that's more downhill over there, and then this is more uphill a little bit. It's just even the way these buildings are designed, it's just like, once again, only like a few things you have to worry about. You come around this corner. Yes, there could be people camping. There's a bunch of little areas, but for the most part, it's very predictable where they're going to be, right? They're going to be either here or here. So you could also get up here if the enemy was spawning here. You could actually be pushed up in their spawn and spawn trapping them, but if this was your spawn, then you'd be looking out this way. And then you're contesting, like there's the snipers down there, right? On both sides. You'd be able to catch people running across the street if they're trying to make their way over. Same thing here with this one. So it's just like, yes, this is a strong position, but the enemy also has a strong position over there to where they can counter snipe you. And it's just such a good flow to this map. Oh, excuse me. And finally, the last part of it is just this left lane here. So if you want it to be a little more, you know, submachine gun oriented and close quarters, you could come up this way. And as soon as you're around this corner, you'd have to either, you know, this is like the hot zone, so to speak, where you'd have to win a gunfight here, or be very cautious of people there, or there could be people over on that side of the map. So it's just like two spots. You don't have to worry about any of that because your team is holding that down, at least while the spawns are, you know, locked in the way that they are. So if you could, if there's like a window of opportunity, if there's nobody over there, you could push up here, try to jump in, flank, win the gunfight with like a silencer, UAV jammer, and then now you're in their spawn. And you have the ability now to flank these guys who would be on their sniper spots, depending on how you're playing. So just an all-around good map. I think this is also one of my favorites. Like a lot of fond memories on this one. I just think it has basically everything. Once again, sniper, 3 lanes, good for search and destroy, good for domination, good for TDM. You know, ARs work well on this map, submachine guns work well, etc., etc. All right, so we got Vacant. I think this map is actually a phenomenal map. It's very prone to spawn locking. As you can see, I'm in this back spawn here. And if those of you can remember, those of you who played this game will remember very well, especially if you're playing domination, getting spawn locked in this room. Once again, I love that. I think it's fun. It allows for a lot of choke points, like right here, where you'd be trying to get out of here, but there's just dudes like camping essentially right here, holding down this angle. So it promotes a lot of just teamwork of brute forcing your way through choke points, and then also winning gunfights around corners. So I just love this map. I think it was good for search and destroy. I think it was good for TDM, domination, headquarters, you name it, kind of thing. One thing that kind of sucked though on this map is if you ever got like an airstrike or a helicopter and then this enemy spawn was here, you basically were not getting any kills with the airstrike or helicopter. But yeah, one of the reasons I think this map is just so good is, once again, we can see it's very, very like 3-lane oriented again. Well, in this case, it's almost like 2 lanes, I should say, because you have that exit over there and you have this exit over here, right? So it's more like, I would say, 2 lanes, and it breaks into 3 lanes because you could then go this left side, right side, or middle. But yeah, it's just very, very, very predictable in terms of where the spawns are and where enemies are going to be. So you can, as long as you're holding down your angles and then getting into power spots, you'd be basically good to go. I mean, I know a popular thing to do back in the day was if you spawned outside, you just sit here with like a AR, like a M16. You could literally just sit here and, you know, hold it down. And people walking out that door just had no chance. And then you'd always have your teammates pushing up there as well. So you usually wanted to be the team that was spawned out here in this outside area, just because you had more leeway in terms of where you're spawning. But if you spawned in that back room over there, you were basically just toast, because if they spawn locked you, you're not going anywhere. And this map was just, once again, very good for search and destroy as well. There's a lot of just like, I don't know how to explain it, like a lot of like counterplay on this map, to where you could, depending, like if you were good at search and destroy, you would know, like, okay, if I run to here at this specific time, I know that the dudes are gonna pop around the corner at this specific time. So once again, very predictable in that sense. So you could kind of like develop a lot of strats for, you know, bomb planting and stuff. If I remember correctly, the bomb site was here, or one of them. I can't remember where the other bomb site was, but yeah, just an overall good map. I have a very funny memory on this map, actually, just kind of random. I was playing a 2v2 game battle with one of my friends, and we were playing against people who were very, very sweaty, and they were just literally camping in the back room there, and we knew that they were doing that, so we also decided to camp because we had like a 30-0 record. So we both teams, me and my friend, and then the two enemies just camped. Like we just proned over here and laid down, and then they proned over there and laid down. But at the last possible second, my friend decided to come up this way, and he wanted to check to see if they were actually back there or not, because we had assumed that they were just camping there. And I'm not joking, with like 1 second left, my friend is right here, not even showing himself, and then one of the dudes was literally laying down watching like this, and he just randomly shot his gun. It was an M16 burst. He shot his gun like this through the wall, and it killed my friend with 1 second left, and the score was 1-0. So that was kind of a funny scenario I remember back in the day during game battles. But anyways, yeah, I think Vacant's a very, very strong map. It's actually one of my personal favorites. Alright, so we have Strike now. I think this is a pretty solid map, actually, overall. This is another one that kind of went under my radar for a while, where it's like, yeah, I would always play in this one and have fun, but I never realized how much I actually liked it until, like, hindsight kind of thing. I think it's just such a good map, because, once again, it's very 3-lane heavy, where you have, like, this side over here, you can come this way, you can go along the right side, there's the middle of the map, and then there's the whole left side. Alright, so very, very 3-lane oriented. And then there's just a lot. This was a really good game mode. I remember for Search and Destroy, I quite enjoyed. But there's a lot of grenade spots on this map. There's a lot of like areas where you can do like ninja diffusing and stuff like that for Search and Destroy, and a lot of power positions as well. Like, I mean, this area is one of them, notably. Or where is it? Not this one. Like up here. So always, once again, people would be camping in here. They'd put claymores around. There's literally only one way to get in here, and it's up these stairs. So you'd have people that would camp in here, and then they would hold this area. Or you'd have like two guys, like one guy would be posted up in here, and then the other would be watching his backside. It's a very, very strong position to be in. But the counter to this is it's very prone to grenades, because as you can see, there is nowhere to go. Like if a grenade gets in here, and it's a cooked grenade, so it's very easy to get people off of this spot as well. Also, you have like the, you know, spawns way back there. It's just a very linear map, which I think is good, because like if you get to this spot and then the enemy's spawning here, you can kind of hold this entire area down. Like if your spawn is here and you're pushing out, where is it? Like you can come around this corner and you can hold this angle if they're all spawning over there. There's just so many angles that you can hold, right? It feels pretty safe for the most part, because if you were to spawn in here, sometimes people will flank you from behind. But for the most part, if you just spawned in, like, it's assumable that most of the dudes are probably on that side of the map. So you could come over here, wait for this car to blow up, because if it's not blown up, then it will kill you as you're standing behind it for cover, because somebody's going to hit it with a grenade or something. But assuming that that car is, you know, blown up, you could come here, sit here, head glitch a little bit, make your way across, check the middle of the map, like infiltrate this way. You have options, right? You can go through the mid, you can go through the left. It all depends on where everybody is at a given moment. So if you want to like take people head on, this is a very popular spot for gunfights, because you'd have people also sitting up there, people trying to come through here. It's a very good choke point. Like COD4 has a lot of choke points. And then even back here, like if you were in this spawn as well, like people would always be watching this area here, so you'd have to be very careful coming around here, because you'd have dudes like posted up all along this way. But once again, it's very linear. Like if I pop out here, there's gonna be people that can get me from there, and then people from here. It's like two spots that I have to really worry about. Granted, I would never recommend standing in that spot. I think you also had a sniper spot here too, where you could like get up on these stairs. Yeah. Some people used to sit here with the sniper and then hold this angle, and then of course you can go in here. Yeah, I remember, I think Search and Destroy, one of the bomb sites, I think was, yeah, it was like over here. There's a lot of grenade spots that you could do to like line it up perfectly kind of thing. This is a really good map for Search and Destroy, just because like there's a lot of routes. Like when you, as soon as you spawn in, like you can make it to this spot at a certain timing, and then you know that the only places that the dudes are gonna come are like through there. It's very like choke pointy kind of area, or here it's like literally two spots, right? So it's all about like, okay, if I make it to this point, I either have to win this gunfight. If no one's there, I can rush up a little bit more, get cover here, and then you can hold this angle and hold this angle, right? So it's all about like, it's almost like a game of rock, paper, scissors, always in Call of Duty 4. Like, it always feels like there's a good move at hand, and then there's two potential things, or one potential thing that can counter you, and then another like neutral option. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that stands out about this map. I just think it's an upper mid-tier map, or like a low-high tier, if that makes sense for me personally. Like, it's a map that I was never like, oh, I'm dying to play Strike, but then when it came up, I'm like, I actually always enjoy Strike. So yeah, it's just an overall solid map.
Take no prisoners, comrades.
Alright, we have one of the most iconic maps in the game, Shipment. So this map is the 1v1 arena, so I don't care what anyone says, this is the best 1v1 map in all of Call of Duty. Like, I know a lot of people think of Rust from Modern Warfare 2, but Shipment is the OG 1v1 map. I can remember so many cage matches on here, like they had a cage match mode where you could 1v1 people, and people would be smack talking each other so much on this map. You also had like domination and like team deathmatch and headquarters and those kind of game modes on here as well. And it was just like you could drop 150 kills, 100 kills. I think the most I ever dropped on this back in the day, I was like 150 kills and maybe like 10 deaths or something like that, because I would just use the RPD machine gun with grip, and it was just so broken because like you could literally hold here and pre-fire and people would be spawning in here and you would be killing them on spawn. So it was just so funny. But even this map, like, it's just a very well designed map. It's 4 quadrants, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the middle. It's very good for 1v1s because it, you know, you basically, it's constantly like winning gunfights essentially. But you still have a notion of spawns. Like, if you're spawning over here, you have protection from people over there because of all these crates in the middle. But obviously people are going to be throwing grenades like crazy. You still have head glitch spots and, you know, strongholds. So, you know, you can hold this angle. People are going to come around here, but they also are going to know that you're going to be here, because where else can you be standing, right? You'd be in like one of 2 spots. So just this map is all about just chaos and winning gunfights essentially, and spamming your grenades. But this is by far the best like cage match 1v1 map in Call of Duty, in my opinion, out of all of the Call of Duties, just because of how small it is. Very, very well designed, I would say. Very, very fun map. You could snipe, you could even do quick scoping on here, you could do submachine guns, shotguns, ARs, light machine guns, whatever it may be, right? You also had some lines of sight here, like through these crates. So sometimes people would spawn right there, and you could just light them up. And once again, if you were smart, if you were good at the game, and you didn't die to grenade spam, you were very, very likely to pop off on this map, and you could play it smart, right? Like, so if you're pushing up here, like if you just know the spawns, like you would know that people would sometimes spawn in here, or they'll be camping in here, so you could just like pre-fire this, kill anybody if they're sitting there, and then there's an angling opportunity here where you can cover this angle, kill anyone there, check this one. It's all about clearing corners and progressing up. Then you make it to this next power position and do the same thing again. They'll start spawning over there. You can pre-fire into these containers if you think somebody was camping in them. Or sorry, it was this one. So that's always fun. But yeah, Shipment, I mean, one of the most iconic maps in Call of Duty 4. Alright, so we have Showdown. This is another very high action-packed map. Very, very fun map. Very good for sniping, actually, surprisingly. You had a lot of people who would make sniping montages, you know, who'd run out here, round this corner, and then you'd have like a perfect lineup of like 5 dudes walking out here. Very good map for search and destroy, good map for TDM, domination, you name it. It's very like quadrant based, I would say. I wouldn't even, it's like, I mean, you could qualify it as, I guess, 3 lane, but once again, you look at the options, right? You have left, right, middle. Like, it's very, very obvious of where you're gonna go, right? So you only have limited options, which I once again think is a good thing, because like as you're pushing up, there's not like, what are you going to die to, guys? You're not gonna die to anything except for the dude who's also rounding the corner at the same time as you, and it's a fair gunfight. Like, there's not really much else to say in terms of like predictability of where people are gonna be. But anyways, so you can push up here, and the very interesting thing about this map is there's like these basically these areas where you cannot push up any further. So if you come this way, like, you cannot push into the spawn this way. So that's another thing that's kind of nice, is there's some protection here. Like, if you were on this spawn, you don't have to worry about dudes like flanking you and coming from this side, because there's this wall here. So it'd force you to come up here. There's just so many lines of sight on this map. It's just crazy. Like, you know, little power spots here. You can hold this angle. You know that there's guys over there. There's gonna be guys over here. Gonna be guys over here. So it's just like 3 spots to kind of look out for, generally speaking. Just feels nice, right? Middle of the map right here, absolute death zone if you try to come out here and take flags, if there's like domination. Very, very difficult because there's just so many areas you can die from. You got this kind of this ring up here where you could, post up here. The spots that were, in my opinion, were power spots in this map are basically right here is one of them, because you could hold down basically the entire middle of the map. You could hold down the spawns, like when people are spawning in and trying to make their way around the corner to the middle of the map themselves. You could hold down these very, very well, and you also have cover from the stairs, and you can keep constantly rotating and checking like this. And if you think they're spawning over here, same kind of thing. You can shoot, and then you can duck back down into cover. Shoot, duck back down into cover. So it's a very good spot to be in, is over here, I would say. And then over here as well. Also here, this spot was always annoying. People would always be camping in this room. That's the thing, right? Like, you come around the corner. If you do make it here, a pretty strong spot, a lot of cover. Like, if you think they're spawning over there, then you just, check your corners, right? A lot of lines of sight in Call of Duty. A lot of long corridors where it's very narrow, and it's just you and one other dude basically shooting at each other, and whoever wins, wins. Not really many people shooting you from the side and stuff like that, right? Which is, so you could always come up here. You could hold down this. Prevent people from coming through. Fun little fun fact on this map, there's actually a glitch. Where is it? Yeah, it's right here. It's not a glitch, but if you were playing like 1v1, well, you could get up on these, and then you could actually boost somebody out of the map. Where if I went prone, someone could stand on me, and I could stand up, and then I could elevate him, so he could get on the roof and run around. So that was always fun. You got this map back, or this little spawn back here. Same exact thing. It's very linear, right? It's very predictable. It's just like, okay, this side I have 3 options, and then the other enemy side I have 3 options. So it's just very, very good flow to the map. You can very clearly understand, like, if I go this way, I think I'm gonna probably be challenging somebody like right around here. And you can come through here. It's a very mirrored map, I would say, which is very, very fun. And of course, once again, the montage spot is right here. You just come up here. If no one's covering this mid spot, you can come up here and hold down this. You can camp in these little tunnels and try to, like, pick people off as they're trying to make their way through. Anyways, that's Showdown. I would say this is one of the smaller maps, kind of similar to like Kill House and Shipment, but maybe one a little bit bigger, obviously, like 1 tier bigger. Good map, solid map, very action. So next up we got Bog. So this map, at a first glance, looks like it's not going to be a fun map, just because it looks very, very open, but the way the spawns work in this map are so good and so predictable, and the cover that they have littered throughout the map is so strategically placed that it just makes this map instantaneously actually a really, really fun map. Now, one of the things you have to be careful on this map is there's a lot of lines of sights for snipers, so even though you just spawned in, as soon as you push out of this little like area here, 1, if somebody's flanking your spawn, you're exposed. 2, as soon as you round this corner, the enemy spawns way over there, so you'll have guys that are sniping like immediately, and if they're good, they will kill you instantly off spawn. Same thing if you try to come out here. So there's always that kind of fun little, it's almost like what's the one map? High Rise on Modern Warfare 2. Kind of similar thing, right? Where you run out, and at the very beginning of the game, there's always going to be people sniping. So it's very, very competitive, actually, for Search and Destroy on this map. And then Domination was really good, because they quite literally have like a King of the Hill spot over there in the middle of the map. Team Deathmatch, also good. So we'll kind of go through this one. So even though it's very open, right, you still have a lot of cover here. This is where like the A or the C flag used to be. So like if you're in this spot, you're not going to be dying to anybody over there because you have all this cover. You pretty much just have to worry about people that are like flanking your spawn and stuff like that. You have this bus here. This bus is kind of like a bait of a position, because if you get in here, it's very hard to see stuff just due to how these like windows are lined up, because you could crouch, but you're kind of limited with your motion, so people can pick you off very, very easily in here. You're actually kind of a sitting duck, but you would technically have a good line of sight on stuff. But I would say the better spots to be would not, don't do that. It would probably be to sit here and hold this angle and then use this as cover more so. But yeah, I mean, you have this far left, once again, but even though it's a very open map, right, it's also a 3-lane map, and you can very clearly see that by you have this whole side lane over here where you could literally run this side route every time you spawn into the game, and you're pretty much not going to be getting touched by people over here, minus like the few instances where you're exposed to snipers. But yeah, you have this far left side over here. I think the search and destroy, one of the bombs used to be like right here on this thing. You could also like prone and crawl your way all the way through, I remember. But even here, right, like, so you make it over here on the far left, and you have cover now, right? You know you're not going to be getting killed by anyone over there. You just have to be killing people in this back spawn, because they would be spawning like religiously in that back corner over there, and over here too. And then, of course, over here. So you could hold this angle if you wanted to. And then if you think it's clear, you can always round the corner and then pick off people that are potentially here, holding the hill. And you can move up, and you have cover. So this map, I think the way the cover is littered throughout the map makes it very, very fun and strategic. And it's kind of like this, it's like this middle part right here, obviously is the main hill. It's like the map, it's like, imagine there's a line drawn here across this map, and like it's this constant battle that's of people pushing into each other and trying to gain ground, and then when they gain too much ground, the spawn will flip, basically. That's kind of what happens, at least in TDM. So even here, right, so it's like, okay, there's like this area of being exposed here. You get to the hill. You can use this as cover. Like, even it's very dangerous here because of grenades, obviously. People could be also rushing this hill. But you at least have some cover. You can try to pick people off. And you know that everybody is spawning on this side of the map for the most part. Like, the enemy is going to be around this area. So you're back, despite there being an entire map. It's like you are okay and you are safe for the most part. Granted, yes, of course, somebody could be pushing through here, that, like on the enemy team. They win some gunfights and then they could flank you here. But they would be exposed to all these enemies that, or sorry, all of your teammates that would be over here, to where they'll probably be more focused on that as opposed to being focused on you. But yeah, you could always like challenge people here. You could push up. So let's say you killed some dudes. You have a little bit of a window. Then there you go. You move up. Yes, it's a dangerous spot to be moving up here, but now you have a little bit of a like cover spot here to hold down the angle and spawn trap some people. And you could eventually, rotate into the spawn if you wanted to, but this would flip the spawn. If you're really annoying, you could like actually catch people as they were literally spawning in and kill them. But eventually the spawn would flip. If you pushed too far up here and you did that too many times, the enemies would start spawning over there on the other side of the map. So yeah, I can remember everybody starts over here, right? Or I can't remember the spawns are for, like, I think it's different for search and destroy and TDM, but there's like this spawn and then right there as well. So you'd come around the corner and you can immediately try to pick someone off, right? That's the thing, you could also choose this far left side that we didn't go over yet. If you're over here, like your primary focus as you're running here is going to be this door and contesting. It's Call of Duty 4 is constantly, it feels like you're pushing up and trying to like contest people in these power spots and then win gunfights. And if you win, you're awarded, you get to push up and then rinse repeat kind of thing. And then you know if you killed the dude, right, where is he going to spawn? Most likely, I mean, there could be other dudes around here, right? But let's just say you get into this spot. He's going to spawn back there in his, back corner spawn, or he's going to spawn over here. So you have now just advanced up and you're in like an advantageous spot. So I can't shoot the watermelons. But yeah, this map is actually pretty good. I think it's one of the ones on paper that feels like, I'm not going to like this map. It's very dark, bland, ugly looking. Like the name Bog just sounds kind of like disgusting. I don't know. It's very open, but then the way it works with the spawns and then how the lanes are actually set up, it's quite a good map in my opinion, and I'd actually rank it higher than some of the other ones. Alright, so next up we got Ambush. So this map, I think, was actually the first map I ever played on Call of Duty multiplayer, like Call of Duty 4 multiplayer. I can remember running in the back, like the far back right corner, like from my perspective right now, it's like way over there. I just remember having no idea or no concept of like Call of Duty or how the maps work or anything like that. So this is a pretty fun map for me, actually. I do quite enjoy this one. One of the funny things about this map actually is if you played hardcore search and destroy, there was some noob tube spots here where as soon as the round started, you could launch your noob tubes across the map and so could the enemy, and it would like instantly just kill everybody on the team, and you could get like a 4 to 5 man squad kill. So that was pretty fun. I remember back in the day. Let's just go through this map, I guess. So Ambush is pretty interesting because it's got really, really big enemy like spawns and then like a nice little middle area. So there's a lot of flanking potential in here, and it's very, very, once again, 3-lane map oriented. You literally have this middle area, you have this right side, and you have this left side, and it goes all the way back into the enemy spawn. And it's also set up once again by like there's a, this whole area you could consider one area, the middle spot in the middle of the map you could consider another area, and then the enemy spawn you could consider another area. It's like the rule of threes, so to speak. But yeah, I mean, let's just walk through it and see, right? Got this back building in here. I think most people would never ever come in this building. It's very rare to see people posting up here, unless they were trying to like stall out a search and destroy match or something and just camp, because this was a very low traffic area. Look at this specific corner here. Same thing with this area. This area in general was low traffic. It was usually just like when you're spawning into the game, you're just trying to run and get back into the action. Although sometimes people would sit on these machine guns and then hold down the angle, right? Yeah, it's got a nice little cubby here. So there's just so much potential. I mean, you like run up, right? I mean, another fun thing about this map is it has a lot of secret spots. Like you could actually get up here on these second levels, and it's like it's kind of like a glitch, but not really, because the developers intended it to be there. But anyways, so you would come out here normally. Now, as you're running out, right, you see that there's always going to be a potential that somebody's trying to run into your flank. So you're always going to be able to like gauge where the people are going to be. You're like, once again, where am I going to die from? Assuming my team is spawning back here, and I'm not just like camping here, right? Because if you camp for a long time, then sure, somebody can flank you. But I'm not going to die from anything behind me. I can only die from here, up ahead of me, as people are trying to come into my spawn or toss grenades in here, or to the left. But I'm not exposed because I have a wall here protecting me. So I could always come up, and then you could, you know, strafe along this wall, and then where could I die from here? It's the same concept. I could only die to the left here. And then, yes, potentially to the right if someone like cheeses me and comes around the corner. But I can kind of like get in this spot here to where now I have a line of sight on everything. Whether it be someone rushing in here or coming around here. What else we got? We got this nice building here. This was also a good building for snipers. Sometimes they would post up and try to counter that spot over there, because there was a pretty stronghold spot right there to cover the middle of the map. You could also see back into the far right of their spawn here. So once again, you know, snipers would mostly be posted up here. And yes, you can get into these spots here. Maybe I'll showcase it if I can later. So you got the middle of the map, right? I mean, I'll go back over there to the left side. You know, you got these sewers. So even in the middle of the map, right, you can come down here, go into the sewers, if I can get in there. And then you can have a little bit of cover to try to get onto the enemy side here. But as soon as you come out, this is like a hot zone here, because you could have a sniper up there. If I remember correctly, there was an old trick where you could jump on this, I think. You could, like, if you were fast, you could jump on that. Yeah, you can get up here like this. So that was a cool thing also about COD, is COD4, they have a lot of these little, like, secret spots that it's not, like, obvious that you can, because like, it's not obvious that you can mount that, because you have to, like, jump on it from a very specific distance. But if you do get on it, you're able to climb up here and surprise people that might be camping up here. I mean, I'll just kind of run through it on this side now, I guess. So yeah, this is another strong spot, right? You come over here. You could have an entire view of the map, right? And there's always someone that you have like cover with. So if you're here, like you're not going to die to anything over here to the left, because you're using this as cover and you're covering the right side, and assumably your team is spawning here. Now there could always be scenarios though where if you see people coming, they're going to run through here, and then they could come from this little flank over here, but you'd most likely presumably be covering this spot. And then if you see somebody make it by, then you could always, you know, keep an eye out for that. There's also this cool little spot here for, once again, snipers get to sit up here. You have like an eagle eye view of everything. This was a pretty strong spot to be in, because if you had an M16 or a sniper, you could cover literally all of this. And it was very hard to kill people that would sit on this spot if you didn't have anyone with like an AR or a sniper rifle countering it. And one of the things that's interesting about COD is the grenades, right? You always had a high probability of getting grenade kills in this game, because you could walk out. Where are you going to throw your grenade, right? You're going to throw it, just throw it literally that way. Because if you throw it this way, it's going to land like in this area that's very confined and has a high probability of hitting somebody, because it's a high traffic area and there's not a lot of space. That's one thing I also kind of liked about COD4, is just like, in my opinion, like the lack of open space. It's very like close quarters, a lot of close quarter spots, and then it opens up into some open space. But it just leads for like a lot of potential for like grenade kills and stuff like that. Yeah, this spot was pretty good too, I remember. You get up here with the cars. These cars are always like super annoying to deal with though. It wasn't buggy, but it was just very inconsistent if you were trying to jump on these to get up here. And you could also get back here, I'm pretty sure. Oh, missed it. But yeah, you get up there too. Then we got this back left spawn over here. So this map is just interesting, right? Because it's got this huge open middle space where, once again, you always have cover. That's the thing about COD, is you always have cover, and then there's a little bit of open space, and then you have cover. So you could like hold down the middle here if you wanted to. Like if your team is spawning over here, like even though it's this huge open map, you're not going to die from anything over here if your team is spawning over here, because you know that they're all over here unless somebody's like flanking or something. And you can just kind of hold down this spot, right? That's why COD4 is just such a good game. It's because of not only the map design but the spawn design. There's also another popular building right up in here. I'm trying to remember where the bomb sites were, because I don't remember where the bomb sites were on Search and Destroy. But this is basically the equivalent of that other building we showed on the other side. Kind of the same thing. You can see back on the right spawn over here, and you're still pretty much protected, and you can cover your own spawn. I remember a lot of people camping in this building. And then this was one of the first things you could like check, like if I'm coming to if this is the enemy spawn and I'm running in here, you could hug this wall to try to like dodge the visuals there. Once again, you're not going to die to anything here, because if you're pushing into the enemy spawn, you know that they're all over in this direction. So you might have to win a gunfight here or here, so you just kind of have to like play it safe. Then you could immediately rush in here and try to like, challenge somebody, win a gunfight, and if you do win the gunfight, you're safe, right? You could always then turn around, cover your backside for a second. If no one's coming in, then you could run up here and then clear out this area as well. So it just feels it's a very like flowcharty game, which is what I like. It's like if you're coming out here, right? Same kind of thing. If you know the enemies are all spawning on this side, you don't have to worry about over there. If you're flanking in the enemy spawn, so you have to cover here for a second, which they might not expect you, so you could, you know, light people up. And if no one's coming, then you rush out here, get this spot, hold the angle, check, then move forward. It's just like there's a constant cover in Call of Duty 4, which is just what I love, you know? These little like nooks and crannies that allow you to get in and out. Then you had this back building over here, I remember if anybody ever got a helicopter in the game, people would come back here and use this machine gun to try to shoot it down. Because Call of Duty 4 had mounted machine guns, for those of you who don't remember or know. Same thing here, this is kind of like a building for basically camping in. Like if it's search and destroy and you're like the last dude alive, you know where the bomb is, like all that kind of stuff, you can just chill back here and like draw the time out. Yeah, just such a good map. I mean, the vibe of this one is just, you have these big spawns, which are like mini maps almost within their own right, which have 3 lanes, right? Does that make sense? Like, this entire spawn is a 3 lane, and it leads into like a bigger map, and then it turns into the enemy spawn, which is also 3 lanes. So it's very well designed, in my opinion. Yeah.
Take no prisoners.
Alright, so we got some Downpour. I think this map is actually extremely underrated. I feel like this is a map that I used to not really have much appreciation for until later on in the COD cycle, like the COD4 cycle, and in hindsight after I came back to this game. And it's just due to how I don't know how to explain, like how tug-of-war-y this game feels, this map feels. And it's all due to how limited you are with getting past the midpoint of this map. Like, this wall right here, and this entire area, if you were to draw a line from this wall all the way over, it is very, very difficult to get past this line one way or the other. Like if you were starting in this spawn over here, it's very difficult to make your way into this spawn. And if you were starting on this side, it would be very difficult to make your way into this spawn. So it makes for very, very intense domination games especially, and also TDM games, but very, very try-hard domination games, because if you spawn lock the enemy, it's very difficult to get out of, especially if you're on that side. So this side's a little bit easier to break free of because there's a little bit more like open space. But there's just so much cool stuff about this map, I feel like. I don't know, there's like, it's raining, you got the grass, you can go ghillie suit if you want a little bit, play a little stealthy in the back. You got this machine gun up here, etc, etc. And sometimes you'd have literally people just sitting up here spamming the machine gun because there's no cooldown on it, no overheating or anything. Also a pretty good search and destroy map as well. But yeah, once again, this map feels very like, it's just very difficult to navigate past that midpoint, which once again, I love that because it makes the games very, very competitive, right? Because for the most part, when you spawn in, you know you're not going to be dying anywhere on this side of the map if this is your spawn. You can come over here, you're very safe over here. There's no one can get you because this is like the corner of the map. And you could just sit here, you could hold this angle. But not really many people would do that because, once again, it's very difficult to even make it to this point in the first place if you were trying to run through this door. But so most of the pressure points here would be like from this spot right here. You'd be like trying to round this corner and there's just like 3 dudes here, there's guys over here in the middle, etc, etc. So it was always very difficult being on that side because you would get spawn trapped so easily. especially because that machine gun nest over there covers this area better than this machine gun nest covers this area, because this is being blocked by the wall. So it's like, what can this machine gun nest really cover? Or maybe it's over here, this one. Whereas that machine gun nest can shoot into this spawn a little bit, and it's just way, way better. But yeah, overall, I feel like this map was, once again, very underrated for me. Like, I used to not like it that much until I started realizing the mechanics of how this map was actually playing out. And if you like those kind of game modes, or those maps where there's a lot of like action around the midpoint and it's very difficult to break the ranks, this is such a good map. You also got this little secret hole in the wall over here. What else? And once again, it's you know, the map design combined with the spawns, as we've been saying, because the spawns, you will be very locked into these spawns. Even if it was TDM where the spawns flip a little bit more, it was still a very predictable map. Like if you're pushed up way too far in there, and then the spawns suddenly flip, like you start realizing there's like nobody around you, then it's very intuitive to know that, okay, the enemies are spawning over here now. So it gives you a time to kind of recalibrate. I'm trying to think what else. There's also this midpoint here. Yeah. So the B flag was actually right here. I can't remember, you might have been able to cap it from up there, but it was right here. This is where the B flag was for domination. So as you can imagine, very, very contested spot. And if you were able to make it up here, you could hold some angles. That's the thing about COD, man. Like we've been saying, or COD4 is like, you're pretty safe if you're standing here, if like this is your spawn on this backside, because all of the danger lies beyond this wall and over here. So like, it's very, very safe feeling in terms of like, I am not going to get shot in my back. Like, there's like a 90% chance that's not going to happen unless a guy has somehow made it through the ranks of my team and he has like UAV jammer and a silencer on. Because if he makes it through and he doesn't have those things, I should at least be able to see him on my mini-map to like adjust. But for the most part, it would just be a spawn lock battle right here. So anyways, I think Downpour is just a overall underrated, solid.
Take no prisoners, comrades.
Alright, so we have Pipeline, another good map for sniping. Also got a lot of grass kind of going on here. Also good for ARs. All around pretty solid map. I would say this is like upper mid tier for me in terms of what I like, for me personally. I mean, it's a good map. Not my favorite in the world, but also, you know, not the worst. There's a lot of fun things you can do here as well. It allows for that more like unconventional play style, so to speak. But still, it's very like 3-lane. Like you have that side over there, that's a very long lane. You got this side over here, and you kind of have like this middle map to work with where you can go through these buildings. So while it's not like a traditional 3-lane map, it still kind of has the characteristics of, you can like choose which way you want to go, and you're not going to be impacted by stuff on the other side of the map. So one kind of cool thing is this map has a really deep spawn that nobody would ever go in, I remember, unless you're playing, once again, competitive game battles or something. To where people would like hide up here, but you can see how far back this goes, right? But nobody would ever come over here. I think this is like a wall. There's this little hut thing over here too. Like wow, like I bet nobody even knows that this file cabinet is here, right? It's like, who comes back here? So as you can see, like you can sit all the way back here if you want it to be annoying. If it was like a 1v1 or something, and just hide. So I mean, yeah, this area is huge, but not many people come here. One cool thing also about this map is there's like this hillside. So if you were a sniper, it was always fun to kind of like, you would always have guys that were proning up here. They'd just be laying down with their snipers like this in the grass, trying to pick off people on the turrets there, or catch people out on the roof, or anyone kind of crossing in between. And then if you were playing a stealthy kind of gameplay, you could come up here and, you know, just like knife everybody and they would have no idea. So it's kind of cool. I kind of do like there's a lot of unique things on this map, I just feel. Like the hill thing is pretty fun little concept. Also, you have the basement too, I forgot to mention that. So you have this basement that runs under the entire map. I mean, the pipeline essentially, right? And then during like, once again, headquarters type gameplay, which is like the old version of Hardpoint, this was very difficult to get into, right? Because you'd be having like 3 dudes down here guarding all these doors. So to breach this was so difficult. But you could use this as a flanking route as well. So like for game modes like Domination, TDM, you can come down here. If you kill whoever's down here first, then you can have priority down there, and you're able to use it to like flank and get into the enemy spawn. So it's a very good map. I would say it's a solid one overall, like upper mid tier, I would say once again. I'm trying to think if there's anything else about this. There's a machine gun nest up here, right up over here. You also got these, oh yeah, let me go over here. You have these 2 buildings here. You know, nothing too crazy about that, but this one's the more prominent building, I would say. where you can get up on the roof. As always, you'd have dudes sitting up here too, on like their snipers. Like if you could get up here, it's a very strong spot to be in because it's very easy to defend. Because all you have to do is like kill people coming up there. You know, try not to die to anyone below you, and then you have a full visual of like everything. Now, obviously, if you jump out here, you're basically screwed. But yeah, you could easily get to like, you know, either side to check the spawns. You have the high ground. You know, usually having the high ground in general is an advantage, whether it be in a game or real life. So a lot of people would do this. They would sit here, and then assuming your spawn is like somewhere over here, then you could just hold this angle down, and then you have the high ground with like a wall here for cover, and it's just like very, very difficult to get people off this spot if they're playing well. But yeah, pipeline I would say is upper mid tier, I guess, for me personally. Does allow for more like fun play styles, like if you don't like the, once again, typical like small tiny 3-lane play style.
Let's do this.
Alright, so we have Overgrown. Now this map is a very, very big map. I think it might be, it's a contender for one of the biggest maps in the game. Very, very sniper heavy, very, very M16 heavy. It's a very iconic map. Like, I mean, what more is there to say, right? This is like basically the map that's based off of, I believe, the same area where like the all gillied up single player campaign was, which that level is like one of the best levels in the game. Very iconic as well. But yeah, I mean, this map, it's just very fun to walk around. I mean, it's kind of, I don't know, it's got a relaxing vibe to me because of all the grass and everything. You can actually do a lot of fun trolling on this map if you are running a sniper. So in Call of Duty 4, there's no changing of your skins. You are bound to the skin that the game gives you. So when you have a sniper rifle, it'll give you a ghillie suit. So one of the fun things you could do on this map actually is you could run a sniper class with a silenced pistol like this and then go UAV jammer. And then you could prone in the grass, and if you tap, like, I believe on controller, it's like triangle, triangle, or YY, but basically you swap your gun, it makes it so your head disappears or looks down, so you can kind of hide in the grass like this, and you can actually run around and like stealth, you know, assassinate people and use your knife and everything. So that's really, really fun to do on this map because it's so big, and it actually allows you to sneak into behind enemy lines, whereas other maps it's a little bit more difficult to do so. So I mean, yeah, if we run around here, it's like, of course, you got the most iconic sniping spots here. There's always a guy sitting back there, right? Get the bridge over there and everything. So you get this long like ravine thing in the middle here. And I would say this map is almost like 2 maps in one, to be honest. This is a very unique map in that sense. Also, you could get up there on those. There's like a little secret trick to get up on that second level there. But yeah, there's also some like back areas here, which, you know, for the most part, nobody ever goes in these areas. The main bulk of all the action is going to happen like over here in this area, and then on the other side over there. But like I was saying before, this map is basically 2 in 1. Like it's very interesting. It's like you come over here and this is like a whole new map than the map that's over there, and you're totally separate from everybody that's over there. So it can be fun, once again, because it allows a lot more freedom of play style. Like if you want to be a little more stealthy or just kind of play not such a strict 3-lane COD play style. It's very good for that. A lot of hiding with all the grass and everything. The visuals it's like difficult to pick out enemies, where it might be a little bit easier in other maps. You can also get on the roof here of this house. So I think this is just a good one, but it's like the only downside I would say about this map is because it's so big, and then if you're playing on like console back in the day, it was only 12v12. I think maybe they had, or sorry, 6v6. Maybe they had like what, ground war as well, so it could be kind of difficult to find people. Like if everybody is spawning on that side of the map, then and you're over here, it could be a little annoying and tedious to have to like run all the way over and find like where the enemies are. You also had this machine gun turret up here. This is kind of like it was a decent spot to be. Yeah, this house, a lot of people used to camp in this house, I remember. Let's go walk over this way. Show the other side as well. But yeah, as you can see, there's so much grass here, and there's so many like options to just chill. You can literally hide in the grass, and it's so hard to see. Like if players aren't paying attention. I think I used to have some montages of me like messing around with people that were like, you know, running over me and didn't see me in the ghillie suit. So you got this sniper spot, seeing over on that distance there. You got this little like gas station thing over here. This area is usually nobody would be in this, unless there was like, what was it? Like an objective here, like a headquarters. But in Domination, or TDM, this area was pretty much like nobody would be over here. So as you can see, this is what I mean by like the two map thing. So it's like we're on the other side now. You also got another house here, and then you got this whole entire like lane. But it's still very predictable once again of like where you're gonna die from, just because of how the spawns work and everything. Like even though it's such a big and open map, like it's like if I'm here standing here, like I know I'm gonna be dying from people up in this direction here, and for the most part I should be covered over here, unless you got somebody once again flanking in. So I think it's just a true testament of how good the spawns were in this game, at least for my opinion. Some people don't like the spawns in this game because they don't like the spawn lock nature, and they don't like the predictable nature of the spawns. But I personally like that. So I think Overgrown is a very solid map. It's not my favorite just because it's a little bit bigger, but I also kind of like it because it's bigger. It just would depend on my play style, my play mood that day. Like if I wanted to, you know, be a little stealthy or sniping, you know, play a little bit more unconventionally, then I would love this map. But on other days when I'm kind of in that try-hard mode, it wasn't always my favorite. Now I do remember there's like a glitch. I can't do it, but there's a way to like get up into this building by like maneuvering very, very precisely. Let's see if I can do it. I don't think I can though. There's like a weird glitch where if you like double spam on your mount key or whatever, like your space bar, it'll like mount you and you can get up there. It'll catch a lot of people off guard. But yeah, I can remember a lot of competitive GBs, game battles on this map because it's so big and players playing really slow, like in a 2v2. But anyways, Overgrown, yeah, very iconic, classic map right here.
Take no prisoners,
So
comrade.
now we got Creek. This map, I feel like you either love this map or you hate this map. It's a very, very big map, but it also plays kind of like a small map depending on where you are. And even though it's a very big map, once again, because of how the spawns are set up, right, and how the rotations work, like, you're not going to ever be dying to anyone behind you. So if your spawn is in this area here, like, this is your home. Like, no one's going to get you from over here. It's just the snipers you have to worry about, and then people, like, rushing the cave down there. Overall, I would say I do like this map. It was not my favorite initially, but it has grown on me, and it's definitely fun if you like the kind of Overgrown play style of like the, you know, being in a ghillie suit, crawling around, being stealthy, sniping, etc., etc. It can be pretty fun then. Search and Destroy actually is surprisingly okay on this map as well. But the main kind of feature of this one is just you have like these two big spawns over here, and then they're separated by obviously this giant mountain, and then there's this huge little valley here. So it's very, very good for snipers and ARs, like long range, like M16 like I have right now. And then you got these spawns over here, like this one as well. So one of the fun things I used to love doing on this map, once again, is the ghillie suit stuff, right? Where you'd get the ghillie suit, which you'd have to have a sniper equipped in order to apply a ghillie suit. And then you just like have a field day with people if you were being stealthy with the UAV jammer. So you could like get up, you know, knife somebody, and then just go prone again. And it was very hard for people to see, like where you were, if you were doing it well. One of the things also to note is there's this cave here. This was like a hot zone, so if you wanted to play the more like close quarters play style, you just come in here because there's always people trying to contest this cave. And then during Search and Destroy, this route was very popular to come through here, so you'd always be met with a gunfight. It's pretty cool. I think it's just a pretty unique map overall. It was very, I think this is probably the first one that I played when the DLC came out, and I was like really, really hyped because I was a young guy. I was like 14, 13. I think this was the first time I was experiencing online gameplay, and then I had no idea what a DLC was. So I thought, well, it's so cool how you can spend money and get even more maps. But if only I knew, because spending money on stuff is not as fun as it used to be, right? These days with all the skin bundles and battle passes and stuff, right? Like this was the one map pack. It was 3 maps or 4 maps or whatever that came out. It was towards the end of the life cycle of COD4. And it was like, I can't remember how much it was. I'm assuming it was like 20 bucks or less. But yeah, it's just a fun map. Not the best, I would say. It's like in terms of people like probably love or hate this map. For me, it's kind of probably somewhere in the middle. Solid map. Decent for a DLC. If you like Overgrown, you'll definitely like this map.
Take no
So
prisoners,
now we
comrade.
got Kill House. I would say that this one is like Shipment's cousin, basically, or Shipment's brother or sister. Right? It's a very, very tiny map. A little more like long, linear style, I would say. Still has basically 2 lanes, right? 2 to 3 lanes if you count this middle spot as a lane. You can run up the right, run up the left, and then that's pretty much it. I can also remember this one being very, very popular for cage match, like 1v1. Good map, solid map, but I think Shipment still, of course, is more iconic. This was actually a DLC map, so some people might not even know that this map exists, depending on when you stop playing COD4, because it came out very late when the DLCs are coming out. So it is a DLC map, but I mean, it's very still a good, solid design, right? Like you can come up here. You know, you guys can you can have people 1v1ing each other from these little power spots. That's very equal on both sides. You can also have people, you know, flanking over here, pushing up on the right side, trying to pick people off, getting into the left flank, you know, around the corner, win gunfights. Just very high action, a high octane map, I would say. But still, compared to Shipment, I still think Shipment takes the cake on the 1v1 nature. Although this is a close second in that regard, I guess. You also have that like tower. Nobody ever would make it up into that tower because you just get lit up immediately. Like if you tried going up here, because it's just like good luck trying to make it up here, you know. And then even if you do, people are just gonna like throw grenades up here. And you're totally exposed. But it's a fun little spot to be in, you know. If you make it up here, it's kind of like a fun little challenge. See if you can even make it up there. But yeah, overall a good map. Definitely Dead Silence is a must on this level. Same with Shipment. Pretty fun if you like.
Team deathmatch.
Alright, so we got some districts here. I would say that this map is kind of like a mid-tier map for me personally. It's a good map, but I don't know why. Whenever this map would come up in rotation, I would always kind of just be like neither here nor there. Maybe it's because the like, you know, darker aesthetic or something. It always just felt a little bland to me, but it's still a good map. I mean, you have a lot of these like long, once again, long lines of sight where it's constantly a battle in COD4 about like pushing up and taking ground. And then getting into the power positions. So as we spawned in over here, right, like you have this long corridor. You just have to win gunfights basically if you want to push up. You know the death is going to be coming from that direction. Every once in a while you'll have some dudes popping out here from like the middle of the map. So it's still just a solid map. I mean, a lot of times I remember there would be people like camping in here or getting stuck in here. And that's once again why I kind of like Call of Duty 4 actually, is it just always feels like it's like a game of tug of war almost in Call of Duty 4. To where it feels like you're constantly, there's like a lot of tension at like a middle point, like this building right here. And then people are just trying to like fight to take over whatever the current position is that everyone's fighting for. You also have this back spawn area here. I remember there was also a funny glitch, I think, where you could like get up there, like inside that area over there, which is pretty interesting. So let's see what else we got here. I think you can actually jump down this well, and you can die if you do, so I'm not going to do that, but there's that. Yeah, I think the reason I just always felt this map is kind of mid-tier is just because maybe the aesthetic of the like lighting, it always just felt so like dark, kind of like beige, I don't know. One thing to note about this map that was pretty interesting though is there's a couple things actually. One is you could shoot with a light machine gun with deep impact through this wall. I believe you could do it on, yeah, on both sides, like through this window. And the bullets would actually come through here and hit people that are coming down here. And you could do the same thing, I believe, in this direction. Oh, you should be able to at least. But yeah, that was always really annoying. Sometimes people would just sit here with an LMG and then hold down and keep firing here. Another fun thing about this map is that there was also like the grenade spam ×3 was very prevalent in this map on Search and Destroy. So like when you would start, I believe you would start back here in the spawn. And as you run out, people would be spam grenading this entire area here from like this whole entire thing all the way to here. So it was kind of funny because there were some strats for, you know, frag ×3, and you could also counter it as well because you could throw your frags over there. And then for those of you guys who don't know, like Call of Duty 4 grenades are crazy in terms of how far you can throw them and how fast they come out. It's probably one of the best games. But grenades are probably, or this game, grenades are probably one of the strongest out of all the games. Just in terms of like how lethal they are and how far you can throw them, how fast they come out. I'm trying to think if there's anything else about this map that really stands out. I mean, there's like this middle market area. It's just a solid map. I think it's a good map overall. Like really good for submachine gun and assault rifle gameplay. And it's just like kind of like, yeah, mid-tier for me, I would say. So this kind of also reminds me, for some reason, there's like a Modern Warfare 3 map that this reminds me of, like the aesthetic. I can't remember the name of Modern Warfare 3 maps though, so who knows. But anyways, that's it for District. Alright, so we have Wet Work. So for all you Black Ops 2 fans out there, this is the original Hijacked, dude. You're on a big boat, very linear, But personally, I think Hijacked actually is a better map than this. In context of Call of Duty 4, I would say that this map is, I don't know, right around the middle tier for me, maybe upper middle tier personally. It was a good map. I mean, it's very, very linear. It's just like, you start on this side and you run to that side, or you start on that side and you run to this side. Kind of, there's a little bit of 3-lane vibe going on once again. Always present in Call of Duty, where you can choose to go this way, that way, or middle. But most likely you'd be sticking on the left or right side. And once again, it was all about just kind of like, I would say more so controlling zones as opposed to lanes. So it's like, if you're spawned back here, you know, and you'd always have the snipers, before I forget to mention this, the guys sitting up here sniping across the map at each other. But yeah, it's more about controlling like this overall zone, and if you're able to push up and, you know, kill whoever's trying to spawn trap you, then you get the freedom to move up a little bit more. And then now you have to control this middle area, and you have to win some gunfights here, right? So there's some cover here, you know, once again, it's very predictable. You're not going to be dying to people behind you, because that's quite literally your spawn, and there's nowhere for the enemy to get past you. So you just have to kind of hold this area. And if you win the gunfights here, and you push up here, this is a very power friendly, or this is a big power position here, because people would always be here trying to like fight for this spot. But if you did win the gunfight here, and you were able to move up, you can just keep slowly pushing up and inching your way forward until you get to this side. And it's just the same concept on the inverse, right? If you're over here to where you're trying to be pushing your way out. So this map was also very prone to spawn locking, especially during domination, if the flags didn't get reset, or if the flags didn't swap. On TDM though, there was always the potential for the spawns to flip if people were pushed up too far. And of course, everyone's favorite spot here. And this map is actually based off of like the first level in the game, or like the first real level in the game, not counting like the training stuff. So it's pretty cool. I mean, this was like the ultimate camping spot here. Like once again, if you were playing game battles and people were tryharding, sometimes like if it was like a 2v2 game battle, people would literally come up here and just camp and then hold down this, because this quite literally is the only place to go to get up here. Although I think there might be you might be able to like stand on one of these things over here and at least get a line of sight on somebody if they're not paying attention. Like if I was standing up here holding this down like this, somebody might be able to come stand on that and then shoot me in the back. But as you can see, it's a very linear map. Very good for snipers. Actually, it's not very good for snipers. It's okay for snipers if like if there's an enemy sniper and then you're sniping, but if there's no enemy sniper, it's kind of annoying actually, because you only have a line of sight really on that back spot there. I mean, you have a line of sight of everything. It's just so hard to land shots though here because of how the map's set up. So I'd say this is probably better to have an AR on this map or a submachine gun. But yeah, overall I would say this is probably like a mid-tier map for me personally. Like maybe like a mid to mid-high, if that make like, or higher rank in the middle tier for me personally. Yeah, pretty good. Oh, I forgot there's also night vision in Call of Duty 4.
Let's do this.
Alright, we have Chinatown. Now, for me personally, this is an interesting one, but I don't know why, but this one, the aesthetic for some reason just never felt like Call of Duty to me. It's a Call of Duty map, and it, like looking at it now, it definitely has the Call of Duty aesthetic, but I think it's just because it's in Chinatown maybe, and I'm just not used to that compared to like the like to the other maps. And maybe the lighting's different with all these cool like red lightings and stuff, but this map always just stood out to me, I remember for some reason. Like when the DLC came out. And I mean, it plays like a Call of Duty map, it just never really, I don't know, there's something about it. I don't know what it is, can't really explain it. Maybe it's because it's all the colors. Maybe it's like the red, I think it's the red colors and the lighting that make it feel like it pops. It's a little more different than all the color scheme of Call of Duty. Like it's very red and yellow. But anyways, this is a pretty cool map. It's very close quarters, very high action, especially if you linger around the middle parts of the map. There's a lot of little like corridors and stuff to go into. This one probably wasn't my favorite map of all time, but once again, it came out late, so I didn't really have a lot of time to let this one like, you know, simmer or fester, whatever the term is. I didn't have a lot of time to get as familiar with this map. I think it's a good, okay map, but I feel like this one kind of starts falling into that category where I feel like there's just so many like angles of where I can die from, which is usually what I don't like. Like for example, if I'm walking here, it's like, let me see, if I'm like standing here, there's like guys can get me from the left, from the right. Granted, this is my spawn, but there's just like so many doors and so many windows and everything. So it's a very fun map to explore, I think. It's just got a lot of cool like ins and outs. But I feel like it's almost too close quarters, right? Whereas like most of the buildings that we've played in, like Vacant and stuff like that, it's like these long corridors where you can kind of like hold your angles. But in this, it's like, how am I holding an angle here? It's like, it's just so close quarters where I'm like right on top of somebody where they can just easily like jump and outplay me. But in like all the other Call of Duty maps for like the indoor stuff, it just feels like it's not as close quarters. There's not like, even here, it's like there could be a guy above me, there could be a guy over here. I don't know. So it's just like it's a fun map. It's a decent map. I never even realized there was posters here. This basement little thing here as well. It's pretty fun seeing this map because I never really focused too much on this one when I was younger, but it's pretty fun to look at all the posters. He's a one-man army. That's pretty fun. But it's a cool map. I think the like aesthetic of this map is cool. I think Chinatown's cool. In terms of how it plays though, it's just kind of like, I'd say like once again middle-ish tier for me personally. But if this one came out earlier, if it was not a DLC map, I could imagine this map actually growing on me, to be honest. I remember there was always like a spot, I think it was around here, I think it was this building. Sometimes this building would randomly have like so many people camping in it. So it was always kind of funny. I think this is a good map for maybe like headquarters type gameplay. Where like the... But yeah, I don't know. It's just not really much to say on this one, to be honest. It's just a solid map, cool aesthetic. Maybe middle tier, low tier compared to the other maps. But I think it's more of like a nostalgia thing for me, as the other maps have more nostalgic value, as this one came out later with the DLCs. So I'm biased towards the like OG maps versus the DLCs. But yeah, overall it's all I got on Chinatown. Alright, so we have Broadcast. Now this is one of the DLC maps. Once again, if you stop playing Call of Duty 4 early or midway through its life cycle, you might not know about this map, but yeah, this is Broadcast. It's one of the DLCs. It's an okay map. It's not my favorite personally. It's okay. I think I'd say it's okay for Search and Destroy. I didn't mind it, but for just like TDM and domination and stuff, it was like, it's like average, I would say, somewhere around the middle. It's basically this concept of you have like an inside and you have an outside. Like half the map is inside, half the map is outside. Although most people are going to be rushing to this like middle area over here, like basically in here, down below, and then just holding down these hallways. So there's a lot of choke points in here to get through. And then also a lot of people would be hovering around this area over here. This is where kind of most of the action happens. It's like pushing up in through here, and there's people in here, and of course this power spot up here, where always people would try to be camping in here. Once again, very easily counterable with the grenades and stuff. So like this kind of center point is actually where most of the fighting would happen, which is not always the case in Call of Duty maps, right? Like the center point, like for example in Block, Showdown, etc., usually people steer clear from because it's like a zone where it's very exposed. But in this map, basically that whole middle area is where most of the fighting would happen. But I don't know, I just never really liked it too much because like if you're out here with a sniper or an AR, it's kind of hard to get picks on people because like it's such a short duration of time that they're going to be even out and exposed here or here, because most of the time they're all fighting inside. Like airstrikes and helicopters weren't that effective on here if the spawn was inside, like if the enemy spawn was inside. I don't know, it's like, I would say it's like an average map, maybe on the lower end for me. It's still a fun map, but I never quite liked it too much. It's just, especially in the context of all the other Call of Duty maps that are in this game, or all of the other maps that are in this game. Like if I had to rank it, it would probably be like mid to lower tier for me personally. And I think if I remember correctly, if you guys remember, what's his name, ZZ Grizz, his intro to his no-scope montages was actually started off, I think, in this room where it has him like walking over to the computer or something, and he like hacks into the Matrix. So that's a little fun tidbit for you guys. So yeah, good map, decent map. I mean, but not my favorite. Alright, so now we got Countdown. This one also admittedly is not one of my favorites, just because it's a very, very open map, and I'm not usually a fan of that, but it still plays pretty nicely, and there's a lot of little like I would call it like almost like a little bunch of little mini maps and mini spots where, depending on what quadrant of the map you're in, it's like you're having little mini fights and holding angles and still having a good time, and you're not gonna have to worry about people all the way across on the other side of the map. So it's like, yes, it's a very big and open map, but just due to how all this cover is set up and all the smoke and everything, you're kind of isolated depending on which route you take. So there is still kind of this general notion of a 3-lane, even though it's not, because as you can see it's very, very open. But like the way that you can choose to run hard left over there, hard right, and generally in the middle. The middle's kind of more open, I would say. Yeah, I wouldn't really consider it, it's like a 3-lane map, but still, you got some options. This was definitely a good map for snipers and ARs, assault rifles. But yeah, you could still choose to come up left here. There's always some flanking potential, where, you know, once again, you're very, very well covered here. Have some sight on the middle of the map. You could kind of slowly push your way up this way if you wanted to and try to, once again, win some gunfights. If you do win the gunfights, now you have a pretty advantaged spot right here because people are going to be spawning in these containers until the spawns flip. And you can go in here and breach. And then, yeah, there actually was some close quarters action you could get because, once again, the way the spawns are working, a bunch of dudes would just be spawning in here, and if you had them spawn locked, you can kind of like come in here and just wreak havoc. And then also, you're now in here, and if the spawns haven't flipped yet, then there's like dudes spawning in there. So there is some close quarters aspects to this map if you like play the spawns correctly. What else we got here? I feel like, yeah, you'd always have somebody sitting on this this thing over here, right? But this is such a bad spot to be in as like a sniper. Yes, you can get up here and, you know, you can hold some angles, but overall, you're pretty exposed to pretty much everything on this map if you sit on this spot. You also had these like little lids that were popping up where you could sit on. Usually this spot was actually pretty good, or like all of the spots where you could jump on these. There's like one there, and there's like 2 over there. So this was a very good power spot because you could get up here with cover and you could hold down this entire spawn and just head glitch on people. It was very difficult for people to get you off of this, but still you're quite exposed as soon as somebody pushes up a little bit. Got this far, far left. I feel like nobody ever would come over on this side. This is more, once again, if you're sniping or if you're flanking and you just don't want to deal with everything. But I would say most of the action would happen in these 2 little like warehouse things, these hangar things, over, and then on those 2, and then just in the middle of the map, and pretty much all over on that side. This side was kind of like the odd man out, so to speak. Whereas mostly that side and then the middle of the map is what got most of the attention in terms of gunfights. But yeah, same kind of thing over here. Like you could push up and head glitch, and then most likely everybody that's like way over there is irrelevant because they're not close enough to see you. And if there's people spawning on this kind of area, you could just hold this down, and then you'd be able to predict fairly well where people are going to be. Come in here, challenge people, so on and so forth. You know, if you kill people here, there's a good probability there's going to be people here. If you can make it up to here, then there's a good probability that there's going to be people over here. So it's just like, yeah, it's a big map, but the way the spawns are set up and the way this kind of map flows, you could make it, you know, work as like a not close quarters, but like a medium range map. And then there's just this whole area. Like I would recommend just, yeah, never coming in this part of the map at all, unless you're trying to play for objective and get on the objective. That's pretty much it. This is Countdown. Not my favorite, but
Team deathmatch. Take no prisoners.
So next up we got Block. This map was basically based off of Chernobyl. So you got a lot of stuff that you'll see in Chernobyl pictures, like this Ferris wheel. You got this pool over here, so it's pretty interesting, pretty iconic, I would say, but not my favorite map. It's got good potential for search and destroy, I will say, but all their game modes I wasn't really a huge fan of. You know, first and foremost, I got to show off the pool back here. So there's this big pool in the back spawn. Nobody ever came back here, like at all, unless they wanted to just look around. And sometimes if you're playing competitive game battles, people would come back here and camp, actually. But other than that, this spot, although it's very, very open, and it's a huge spawn, like, it's just dead space almost. Like, nobody comes back here. Very, very rare. But it's very, very iconic in terms of the aesthetic, because, yeah, Chernobyl. But yeah, so you basically, the main appeal, or the main thing about this map, is that you have these big spawns, and then you have these 2 main buildings here, which are very linear on both sides. So it is kind of fun if you like playing stealthy, And it is pretty fun for search and destroy, I will say, just because the bomb sites are located in these buildings. So you have options, which does make it kind of fun, right? Because you can choose to go in this building or you can choose to go in that building. So you have like, it's almost like a 2-lane map, I would say, as opposed to a 3-lane. So technically you do have a, you know, 3rd lane here in the middle, but you're just going to get absolutely obliterated if you run out into the mid map because, you know, both buildings can see you. And that's the thing also, it's like the way the spawns worked in this game, in this map, like the enemies are spawning over there or they're spawning over here for the most part. So both of these buildings could always have enemies in them, if that makes sense, as opposed to like, oh, that building has all the enemies and this building has all my guys. Now it was more like the spawns are, you know, what's the word? It's like across like the Y or the Z axis, so to speak. And these buildings were always potentially filled up with people, enemies, good or bad kind of thing. So although there are a lot of little corridors here, which you could potentially die to, still everything's very linear. Like, it's not like it's so overwhelming, right? So if you check this spot right here and nobody's there, you can rush up here, cover this, and then you know that nobody for the most part is going to be over here unless there's like a weird timing. But so you're able to hold stuff down, so it still feels like there's a level of skill to it, because you're like the line of sight and the stuff that you can see is like there's only 2 doors that you have to worry about as opposed to like, you know, worrying about like 50 million doors where people could shoot you at all but a bunch of different angles. And then of course you could, you know, catch people as they're running into that building if you had like an AR or a sniper. But for the most part I would say it was, yeah, close quarters combat in these buildings, and then sometimes you would have snipers who were trying to pick each other off, you know, across the map, or there's like a power spot right there. But that's another good thing, I guess, is even though there were snipers and people trying to like, camp and be sniping, you would always have the people running in here and trying to clear out the snipers. So there was kind of like that rock, paper, scissors aspect to it. And yeah, I do remember Search and Destroy being very, very fun on this map, actually, in hindsight. I keep saying that, but it is true. But this map is just probably not one of my favorites overall. Except for, yeah, stealth gameplay and sniping. I just feel like there's a lot of dead space in the spawns. It's like you'd spawn back there, you'd spawn over here. There was another sniping spot here actually where you could hold stuff down. This is a pretty strong spot to be in. But it's just like, even though this is a strong spot, most people aren't running in this part of the map. And it's so hard to see into these buildings, so it's very hard to pick people off. Where it feels like, yeah, this is a good spot, but nobody realistically is running into this area because there's just not any like actual good cover. So I don't know, it just feels like there's a lot of dead space on this map, and the spawns, and then this whole middle area which nobody's ever going to go into. And you got this spawn too, which is not as big, but still pretty decently sized, right? Because you'd spawn back here. That was kind of one of the annoying things, I guess, too, is you'd spawn in, and I feel like you would have to run a decent amount just to get into the action, whereas like we saw with Backlot, for example, that map, it's like the spawn, yeah, there's a back corner spawn, but it's like pretty quick until you get back into the action. But one of the cool things is, once again, you could come up here and you know, like, okay, there's a high potential somebody's going to be in here, so I might have to win this gunfight. And it's just kind of like, you know, close quarters, clearing rooms out. You know, if you win the gunfight, then you're able to progress up. So it's very, very fair and balanced in that regard. Of, once again, if you challenge somebody, if there's somebody here, you win that gunfight, you can push up very, very safely without having to worry about somebody coming behind you suddenly. I'll just finish off showing off the building here. Then we'll probably call it on this map. Yeah, a lot of search and destroy like routes here. I remember, like, if you were quick with it, you could get in here. You would know like when people would. That's another good thing about COD4 in general is, and Call of Duty I would just say in general, is like when you're playing search and destroy, if you like that game mode, there's a lot of predictability, because in terms of like when you spawn into the game, there's only so many routes that you can go to, and there's only like you can only run so fast, right? So you'll always know, like, okay, as soon as I get to like this part of the map, let's say, I know for a fact there's a potential like 80% chance that there could be a guy here just based on timing alone. So that's one of the cool things about, at least I would say, COD4 and the classic CODs. And that's due to the spawns and the game modes like search and destroy, and just how the maps function. But anyways, that's pretty much it for Block. Pretty iconic, but not one of my favorites.